This is Hemant.
Hi, it's Jess.
We decided that as the year is coming to an end, we were just going to do an end of the year review of atheist stories, of non-atheist related stories, because
Just this dumpster fucking fire of
Yeah.
a year. I wanted to call it the Fuck 2016 podcast.
I don't think
Hemant does
iTunes would
not
be happy
think
with that.
That's okay.
I don't think
That's all right.
This is a family show.
But we're drinking wine.
Yeah.
This is actually, this is the first time we've ever drank together. Cheers.
Hi, cheers. So we figured, let's talk about all the things that sucked about this year, and if there's the two things, whatever it is, to be optimistic about for next year.
Well, I mean, when
we
we
made
get
a
to
giant list. Jessica made a giant list.
Oh, I have to shout out my coworker, Kate McDonald. She's in Boston. She's my best work friend. Never met her in real life because I work for a super great company. But I told her what I was doing, that I was making a shit list for the year. And so she leaned into it and did all of the notable deaths. So have you ever been on Wikipedia when they say, like, notable deaths in August? It's literally anybody who's ever existed who may be of note. So she waded through all that shit.
Oh, wow.
So if I miss somebody, that's not on me.
Yeah, we should make clear, this is totally not a comprehensive
Oh, it's comprehensive
list
for
of
me, my friend.
everything. So don't yell at us when we forget that thing that happened that was
fine.
so important that we just missed.
She did call me a monster. So I made a good column and a bad column of
Yes.
things that happen. And I put Scalia dying in the good column, and she called me a monster.
I should note that the bad column is much longer
Yeah.
than
Okay.
everything in the good column.
So
All
I
right,
feel like
you're leading the way here.
I am?
Yeah.
Okay. So January.
Uh-huh.
It feels so long ago.
Things were good then.
We were so young and naive.
Yes.
And then Alan Rickman died. David Bowie died. State of emergency declared in Clinton. Zika happened. God. So what was going on with the Dawkins Foundation? Let's talk about something that's
These
relevant
were the
to our
things I
listeners.
remember writing about in those times.
Secular Coalition hired somebody who's religious.
Yeah,
What
Secular
happened?
Coalition for America, the atheist lobbying group in D.C. They fired, or the person resigned, whatever they want to call it. But Edwina Rogers, who was the former executive director of the organization, she left or was fired or whatever you want to call that.
No longer a part of the company.
And her replacement was Larry Decker, a man who happens to be religious, which was a little questionable, but he's turned out to... he supports church-state separation, and he's a fine lobbyist on behalf of atheists. I think that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you don't necessarily care if somebody is personally religious as long as they're sort of honoring the idea of, like, it's kind of like how...
And to be clear, Secular Coalition for America, they're not saying, like, let's
No.
promote atheism.
No.
They're
It's
supporting church-state separation. So you can totally have a religious person. I mean, a lot of church-state separation groups
Are
have
religious.
been led by religious
Well, it's the way Tim Kaine is
Right?
personally pro-life, but would never run on a pro-life platform because...
We're not at November yet where we cry.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, so
But
January.
yes,
So that all
exactly. Your point
happened.
is taken, which is you can be religious and be totally with us on how the government should treat religion. So that was that. The Dawkins Foundation thing.
You added the stuff that's like relevant to our listeners. I was just like angry typing.
Well, Alan Rickman, we'll talk about Voldemort in November.
Okay.
We're not there yet.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Snape. All right, whatever. I read the books.
I thought...
The
You
Dawkins...
thought Alan Rickman played Voldemort, and I was going to flip this table.
No, I know he's Snape. I just I haven't seen any of the movies. I don't do movies.
They're okay. It's fine.
Yeah,
Listen,
whatever.
move on.
The Dawkins Foundation, which is not really a big organization. It was kind of a one-man show, but they promoted a lot of stuff, and they obviously have Richard Dawkins to fundraise. And Center for Inquiry, which is a big atheist secular organization, they merged, and a woman, Robin Blumner, is leading that merged organization, which means like two of the biggest atheist groups in the nation, Freedom from Religion Foundation and this CFI merged with Dawkins Group, they're both led by women. FFRF has co-presidents.
You put that in the bad shit column. I want for the record.
That was good. I just saw all the stuff written there, so I just added it to that list. That's not bad shit.
No, that's great. I think for a long time atheism has suffered from a white male leaning situation.
At least that's the perception, I think. Yeah.
I think it's also real,
and all the authors are known,
Right.
the white male authors. That's totally
The
true.
Four
And so
Horsemen.
it's one of those things that as the year progressed, no one ever talks about that. No one ever mentions the fact that women are running these groups, but it is kind of cool.
No,
and we
it's
shouldn't
great.
forget that.
I do often brag about the fact that we have one of the few podcasts in existence that have 0 white men on it.
Whoa.
Have you ever thought about that?
Glad we killed off that other host.
Yeah. Listen, he knew what he did. Okay.
The other thing I had in this list, and then we can get to the good shit, just because I don't know where I put stuff. The one other thing that happened at the beginning of this year is Michael Newdow, the atheist who went to the Supreme Court like a decade plus ago to get under God out of the Pledge of Allegiance. He lost that case, but he decided to file a lawsuit to get In God We Trust off of our money. And his argument is this, like, there's a couple things. I hope I'm getting the legal aspect of this right. You can argue that this is a promotion of religion, but his argument is, I'm not going to take that route. I'm going to take a different one saying, this is like equal protection or something. Like, you're forcing atheists to use this money.
Yeah.
And whether or not you like that argument, he was saying, I'm going to go to every district, like every appeals district in the nation. I'm going to file this lawsuit everywhere. Yes, I will probably lose in the district courts, but I'm going to appeal them. Because if one of them says you're good, which is what happened with Under God, like the one California appeals court said, yep, you're right, and then all the shit got started. He's like, if I can get one of them to say yes to me, we can do something, or at least have the Supreme Court hear it, which sounded good in January, maybe, and no longer does. But we finally heard, like, in the past few weeks that the one of the appeals court that heard his case said, yeah, no, we're not doing anything with this. So one down, and a few others have already ruled on this in the past, but he's going to keep trying. But anyway, he filed this lawsuit in January, which riled up a lot of the religious right, of course. It's an interesting question, right? Though, like, In God We Trust on the money, should it be there? It's not one of those things like, we're not atheists, we're not walking around all offended by it.
Right.
But the question is this a promotion of religion, or is it just one of those ceremonial things that no one should care about?
I think about that shit a lot I'm really sincerely torn about it.
Yeah.
On the one hand, I do think it's bullshit that when I was 4 years old, I was saying under God with no understanding of what that meant, and it feels a little like dictatorship-y to me, but I feel like, I don't know. I know this is the wrong thing to say, but like I feel like this is the thing that like the Christian right hates about atheists.
Right. You go after every mention of God,
like
even not the big ones.
It feels quixotic in a way of like does it really? I don't know. I don't know.
Does it really matter? And here's the idea. Here's my take on it too. I agree. It's not something I stay up late thinking about. But here's the argument that I think makes a little sense, which is that even if the lawsuit doesn't ever win, the fact that you can, the people started talking about Under God in the Pledge because of Newdow's lawsuit.
Yeah, that's true.
And people started protesting or not saying it or staying seated during it because he raised this fuss about it, whether or not you think it's a big deal. So even with this, I think a lot of people just see it on the money. They don't think twice about it. Not a big deal. And the thing is, when it was pushed onto the money in the 50s, it's because we were trying to push God into everything. That history gets forgotten.
It really does.
And no one thinks about it today. But it's one of those things that if you're not religious and you see that, it does mean something different. And the question is, why are people so offended if you said, what if we had money without In God We Trust? Because that's what it was for such a long time. A lot of people would get pissed off. And why are they getting pissed off about it?
Because momentum is hard to stop. It's much easier to just not do something than to stop something that's already in motion. Because they feel like it's perceived, I think, it's perceived to them like we're taking something away from them, which is...
Which is what, though? What are we taking away from them?
Oh, I don't know. Superiority.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's the thing. So he's raising a fuss about this thing that says if you're religious, like, you're honored, you're exalted. He's like, no, not all of us feel that way.
Yeah.
So...
And it, again, and when we talked about having religious people in secular coalitions and things like that, it makes sense. Separation of church and state protects both church and state.
I should say, Newdow's lawsuit, the one that he just lost in the appeals court, actually had a religious person signed on as one of the plaintiffs. Good. They actually, if you read the lawsuit, the word G-O-D is spelled G-D, out of respect to that religious... I think he was, out of respect to that man who was one of the plaintiffs. So it's like, yeah, it's not just atheists fighting about this. So interesting side note.
That is interesting.
So anyway,
February?
That was the atheist stuff.
Oh, yeah.
nothing good happened in January, according to this list.
Okay, so February. So Scalia died, so this is a thing that Kate told me I was a monster about. I remember Mikey and I saw a movie, my husband and I saw a movie, and I walked out, and he was in the bathroom, and I turned my phone back on, I got the push alert that Scalia had died, and was just like agape. Like my eyes were, and he walked out, he's like, what just happened? I was like, Scalia died, and I I didn't know how to respond to it properly because my initial reaction was like, fuck that guy.
Right.
But also, it's a human being who died, and he and Ruth Bader Ginsburg were like besties, which made...
They're opera buddies.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I want to hang it. They rode an elephant. But he was a good guy in terms of civil rights. So he died, and then...
At the time, if you remember, by the way, it was like, well, there's still a year left in the Obama administration. The chances are good that a Democrat will win. So it's like, wow, the most conservative justice just died, and a liberal will most likely replace him. That is unbelievable.
Oh, you sweet summer child. We were so young and naive. I know. So immediately the GOP vowed to block Obama's nominees. So this is even before he nominated Merrick Garland. Mm-hmm. And they're like, something about a lame duck, yada, 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 which my understanding of his lame duck is like, Obama isn't a lame duck currently, like between the election.
November and January. No. He's a lame duck for whenever.
And we need to let the people decide. Oh my God, fuck that. Like it made me, it makes me, and it's people who act like the Constitution's the most important thing to them, but they love to just interpret them as ever they want. I'm just
to be clear, the whole thing about Scalia and the people who liked him is that they hate people who are activist judges. No one was more activist and changing the Constitution to suit his own needs than Scalia. It's just, and what's sad is that Trump, the one good thing you have going is maybe he doesn't know enough to nominate someone who's that conservative.
But he's putting too many. November. We'll get there. We'll get there. So Harper Lee died.
But by the way, one last thing about the Supreme Court, which is when Scalia dies, a lot of those, if you remember, when gay marriage was legalized, that's like a 5-4 decision because the swing vote went in the liberals' way.
100%.
With Kennedy.
So a lot of things have been upheld because we've had 8 in the Supreme Court, and Kennedy's swung more left than he might normally.
Sometimes.
And things have been upheld.
Like, with Scalia gone, it's like, you know what? Even if the swing vote goes the other way, it's still tied.
Right.
And now that's all up in the air.
Right, and so it goes back down to the
for at least temporarily, it's like, oh my God, we might have a Supreme Court that actually doesn't keep going conservative on all these split decisions.
Can't wait till I get to November. We should power through the spring.
Oh, you have a good thing listed under February that I like.
Oh, Spotlight won Best Picture. You saw Spotlight?
I did. It's the one movie I saw this year, I think.
So good.
It was good.
Oh my God. If you haven't seen Spotlight and you are listening to this podcast, like...
What are you doing?
It's truly incredible. It's a really, really excellent movie about is it Boston Globe?
Yeah, it's the Boston Globe.
Boston Globe, their Spotlight section did a really long investigation into basically the atrocities that the Catholic Church in Boston was covering up.
Everything we hear about the church sex scandal, that's them. That's what they started.
It was so well done.
I mean, it's not just a denunciation of the Catholic Church. It's like, this is what good journalism looks like.
That's exactly correct.
That's a neat thing. You don't see movies about that.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, that could so easily be a deeply uninteresting movie, but it was so well done, and the stakes were really high, and the acting was phenomenal. I saw that.
I haven't seen any of the superhero movies ever. Like, I don't know what any of these movies are about these days.
Sure.
But that one was
so old.
I don't think it's old. It's that I don't care, and I don't have a kid who's old enough to watch. So it's like I have no reason to care. She's not going to want
to watch movies after you're like...
We got a couple years.
We're going to watch MSNBC 24/7.
She will learn to love it.
I did see Chris Hayes as I walked in. Yeah. Anyway.
but that's exactly the thing. It's like, I don't see any of those. But this one, it's like, this is a real movie. They didn't make this stuff up.
It was excellent. It was super excellent. And it very much deserved its win. That was Best Picture.
Oh, you had Harper Lee died in February.
Harper Lee did die in February.
I read To Kill a Mockingbird, I think, last year for the first time because I never read it growing up. And
well,
I'm like,
you're a math teacher.
It's one of those I should read. It was good.
It's quite good. I remember reading it in high school. You didn't have to read it in high school?
If I did, I just got around it. I don't know what I did.
Right.
I didn't read a lot of books in high school that I was assigned to read.
That's fine. I'm ignoring you. Okay. So March. So Nancy Reagan died.
Yeah,
this is your parenthetical thing.
One interesting thing that at Nancy Reagan's funeral, her son Ron Reagan, who is an atheist.
Ronald Reagan. I was like,
Ronald Reagan's also
Ronald
dead,
Reagan
yes.
is definitely dead.
But her son Ron Reagan, who is an outspoken atheist, he gave a speech he gave a eulogy at her funeral with everyone there, where he at least mentioned, he's like, I'm not religious. He doesn't believe in the
Did he say anything in
afterlife.
regard to Nancy or Ronald?
No. And you remember, Nancy Reagan believed in like astrology. She believed in all this. He didn't mention any of that.
I forgot about that.
But he just said, I don't believe in the afterlife, but this is what I remember about her. Let me tell a few stories. It's like, this is what a good secular eulogy looks like.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Okay. And then, no, I don't want to get into that shit. So, Merrick Garland officially gets nominated. That gets blocked because they're children.
Yes.
And March is when a lot of the violence of the Trump rallies happened, which was fucking terrifying.
Started happening. Yeah. They haven't really stopped.
No, it's still happening. I want to kill myself.
Yeah.
The trans bathroom thing happened.
Yeah. Was that the North Carolina one that happened in March?
It was the North Carolina whole situation. So I obviously had that in the shitty column. Not chilly? Oh, bad shit, good shit.
Yes.
And then the bad shit column. For obvious reasons, right? It's this weird manufactured fear of trans people as if they're the real threat. This is what frustrates me the most about the trans thing, is that they have this perceived threat of, men are going. This is always the refrain, right? Men in a wig are going to go in the bathroom with your wives and your daughters and your girlfriends and whomever. Whereas we can point to specific situations where, like, people running the Catholic Church have
right, who's done more harm, like Catholic priests or trans people in bathrooms?
And I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't think there's ever been a incident, even a single incident of somebody, a trans person entering their identified gender and attacking somebody.
I literally heard one story this year. It was a small incident. They caught the person and they did whatever. They arrested that person as they should have.
Right.
And I did not hear any LGBT person or ally saying, "Oh no, they shouldn't have arrested that." Like, no. They said, "Good,
you do something
guy's
wrong.
A creep. Go ahead and arrest him." But yeah, literally one, and they took care of it. But yeah, how many times...
But when you see the actual threats of actual people who are actually doing things and they stay so silent, and that I find that deeply frustrating because it feels dishonest. Because
everything they say about gay people and as the fears of that we should worry about has always been overblown and always lies.
It's a thing that I think that one of the things that's frustrated me most about 2016 is that So say, for example, my dad is fiscally conservative and I'm fiscally liberal or whatever. Like my dad is technically a Republican, although he's socially liberal, which is another can of worms. I think my father and I can sit down and have an interesting conversation about what's the best way to address these issues. And I feel like we've lost that discourse this year. This year was fear-mongering. This year was like big sweeping generalizations. This year was just vilifying anybody who was an other. And to me, that's really frustrating because when people talked about, and we're, again, not November yet, but people talk about, so many people have stopped talking to people because they're Trump supporters. If somebody said, I'm not talking to somebody because they're a Mitt Romney supporter, fine. Like, maybe that's overreacting. But this was such a different situation in terms of, it's not just you're saying that you would rather not put national money into welfare or whatever.
It's not a policy difference
it's
here
not a
and
policy
there.
Difference. It's our president has admitted to sexually assaulting women, like, gleefully.
Let me ask you this question.
Oh, God.
How many close friends do you have or family members who are Trump supporters? Because you're not. So how many do you have who
First of all, you don't know me.
Yeah.
So no, honestly, me personally, my folks my dad has voted GOP since McGovern, I think, voted for Hillary this year. And he lives in Wisconsin, so he did his part. Really, my immediate family, nobody I necessarily know off the top of my head. I've definitely gotten to, like, my sister-in-law's mother-in-law, which
You
I
have
know
to
sounds
stretch
absurd.
that far.
No, I did. Actually, a buddy of my coworker is from Tennessee, and I was saying like my Facebook feed has been pretty free of like Trump bullshit. And he was flabbergasted that I don't have that like deep in my, and because he's from Tennessee, and so everybody's just.
But this is exactly the point, because I don't either.
Oh
Like
my God,
I would have to
it's
stretch
such a
really
bubble.
far. And yeah, I'm aware I'm in this liberal bubble. I'm well aware of that.
Sure.
And the sad thing is, like you're saying with your Tennessee colleague, yeah, they're only kind of hearing the conspiracy and the pro-Trump side and all that stuff. And yeah, that is sad, because I can speak for you too. We have lots of friends who are religious. We have lots of friends who disagree with us on other issues.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this political divide is, and I think the studies have borne this out too, that we are more polarized and we're all living in our respective bubbles. And, you know, we keep seeing this thing on TV about like, oh, Hillary won the popular vote and stuff. But the fact is, it's like, yeah, but the reason it doesn't matter is because it's like in California and that's kind of it. And other states are totally not. So that's why.
You know what I've noticed?
irrelevant.
Republicans are super into the Electoral College now.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about them before. I didn't know they're so pro Electoral
It's
College.
all they have. Why would you take it away from them?
Fucking nightmare. I cannot believe this year happened.
What
Okay.
else?
Trans bathroom
Well,
happened.
at least with the trans bathroom thing, that seems to have at least bit Pat McCrory in the ass in North Carolina.
100%. Because did I put this in here? I mean, I think I put that the NCAA pulled out of
NCAA
like North
said-
Carolina saw very real repercussions.
Yeah, and they didn't get them. They didn't get them on the ethical things, because trying to explain that, hey, trans people already go to the bathroom with you and they're going in the right bathroom for them.
Right.
It's already happening. You don't know about it because they're not putting a big sign on their head. All we're asking is to make that legal so there are no repercussions. No, whatever. But the point is, they decided to kick them in like the budget. So the NCAA said, we're moving all of our championships out of your state. The NBA, we're moving our All-Star game out of your state.
Bruce Springsteen canceled.
Bruce Springsteen's
I
not
remember
playing.
that made my whole heart.
PayPal, we're not expanding.
PayPal.
We're not expanding in your states.
Fuck, man.
That's how it happens. Good. That's what a good company does.
That's what. Yes, that's how it works. Like
If your company wants to have good, positive, inclusive values, and you want to hire people who support those values, you can't have your headquarters or any part of it in states that won't even let those
and
workers
that's how
be
capitalism
there.
works, right? Is like people, because people always say, if you don't like this company, don't pay them.
Right.
Okay, that's what we're gonna do.
Right.
Bye. Okay.
Where are we at?
Trump's campaign manager charged with battery. Old news. I mean, obviously it's all old news, but like, doesn't that feel like such a drop in the bucket?
Man.
Like, of course his campaign manager was a dickbag. The U.S. women's soccer team.
Where they get paid less, they have to play on
Yes.
crappier equipment.
That breaks my heart because we're going to get into the women athletes of 2016 because they were the only good thing that happened this year. The Georgia governor vetoed the anti-gay bill, which is really exciting.
I think he said his son kind of talked him out of doing. That was his excuse.
Well, yeah, that's
to
why you have to have
conservatives.
children so they can
Right.
make you more liberal. Because it seems like the only way to get a conservative man to agree with anything liberal is to be like, oh, I have a son who's gay. I guess gay people exist.
Right.
Or I have a daughter. I guess women deserve not to be murdered. Thank God
They
I had
can't
this
just say,
daughter.
I had an epiphany and I feel, no, you
or
can't
I
say
recognize that.
that.
These people are human beings.
Right.
Okay, I'm
Nope.
putting my feet up.
Only if you have a kid.
Are you not even through your first glass of wine?
I'm working on it. Some of us have to record a podcast.
Who?
I don't know. What else?
I do want to give a shout out to Wine Cubes from Target, Merlot, California. It's just my jam.
They're seriously fun wines. It says so on the box.
Well, and that's delicious. It's what
They
I
are.
live off in my apartment. So if everybody wants to send me a Christmas present, I'm accepting them.
Done.
Okay, so Nancy Reagan died. Blah, 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 all the terror attacks that happened in March, which I can't even. I don't even think I can get into because I'll just fall. Okay, April. Oh, Prince died. That sucked.
That sucked.
That sucked a lot. The Panama Papers happened. Are you a Prince fan? Are you a David Bowie fan? Do you have a death that like affected you most this year? Because everybody died.
Ooh. I'll think about it. I'll get back to you by the
Okay.
time we're going through.
All right.
Prince, I mean, sad because he was young, but otherwise, I mean, I don't listen to his music that much, but
I mean, the David Bowie one hurt me more than Prince. I respect Prince for what he did. And it's okay to not be a fan of somebody, even though we're going to get hate mail for that. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay. So Harriet Tubman got announced that she's going to be put on the $20 bill. What was that, in 2020?
I think that sounds about right. Or maybe it was 2019 when it was like 100 years after women got the right. I don't remember. Sure. Whatever it was.
Oh, yeah. I remember less than a century ago when I couldn't vote.
Hey.
So
remember
that was
when
great.
we were going to elect a woman president?
We're not in November yet.
It all leads to November.
So Harriet Tubman, I was beside myself. I was so fucking thrilled about it for myriad reasons, not the least of which is that they had originally talked about replacing Hamilton on the 10, and obviously I'm a nerd, so I know all the words to Hamilton by Sir Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I finally got my
Lin,
tickets.
if you want to come on this podcast. Yo, you're going?
June.
June?
I couldn't go till June, but I got tickets for June.
Girl, I am going this Wednesday. I'm so fucking pumped. I'm going with my mom and my brother and one of my best friends, and we're giving my mom and my brother the better seats so Alana and I can sit and hold hands and cry the whole time. It's a matinee on a Wednesday. I'm taking the...
That's awesome.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't... Ugh.
So yes, Hamilton on the 10
so
is
anyway,
saved.
He's staying. And Andrew Jackson wasn't what we'd call like a great moral figure.
I think that sounds fair.
His race relations weren't strong. So anyway, so that was great. And then people reacted to the Harriet Tubman thing, and I swear to fucking God, I heard people say that we shouldn't put Harriet Tubman on the 20 because she broke the law.
Oh, we're not in November yet.
So anyway, people are the worst, I guess is what I'm saying. China, China, the pro wrestler, died. That was a bummer. She didn't deserve that.
I don't know who that is.
It's fine. Mississippi Religious Freedom Bill. I wish I'd put details on that. I'm sure it was awful. Oh, Doris Roberts from Everybody Love Raymond died. And this is a Kate McDonald special. Scooter, the world's oldest cat, died. He was 30.
This one affects me deep.
Well, listen.
I'm allergic to cats. I am
too. But listen, Kate helped me curate this. Dennis Hassert's bullshit happened.
All right, let me tell you about Dennis Hassert.
Okay.
Hassert.
Sorry, I didn't mean to skim by that.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah, Republican, former Speaker of the House, whatever. He gets, charged finally or arrested?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Whatever, for being a child molester. True story.
But wait, didn't he get charged for something else and then he admitted to molesting?
Okay. He's a horrible human being is the point of this.
Obvi.
There is a street not far from where I live that is called...
Presently?
Yeah. Called Hassert. So Hassert's name is H-A-S-T-E-R-T. The street is called H-A-S-S-E-R-T. No relation.
I have Hassert with 2 S's on this sheet. Was I wrong?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Not interested.
They're not the same spellings. But if you drive on that street, I guess so many people called the city to complain, like, how dare you name a street after Dennis Hastert, the child molester, that they put up signs on the road that said, this street, the government signs, this street is not named after Dennis Hastert. It is named after, like, the Hastert family who did whatever.
My God.
It's so funny.
That's kind of the way that Chicago is taking all its, like, honorary Donald Trump Boulevard shit down. And they're like, oh, God, we have to disassociate a quick. That's pretty funny. I didn't know that.
Also, I think 2 years ago or something, someone emailed me from nearby Wheaton College, the evangelical school here, and said, I can give you a tour if you ever wanted it. And so one day, of Wheaton College, I'm like, you know what? I'll take you up on that. That might be interesting.
I was busy that day, sorry.
I know. Well, he took me around the school, showed me some places. And one of the things he showed me in like the archives of the school, he's like, this is like the Dennis Hastert section. He donated stuff to Wheaton College after he was done being Speaker of the House. And the person showing me, he was a nice guy. Clearly, we don't agree on political things.
Sure.
But he's like, look at this. In this special box right here, opens up the box. This is the pen that, like, either, I think, George W. Bush used to sign the Patriot Act. I'm like,
no.
All right.
Oh my
that was my memory of.
Can I tell you that's a thing that used to stress me out because I heard that when presidents sign things into law, they have to use like 12 different pens, and I used to be like, I could never do that. I could never like
write half of a
J,
signature of it.
Put the pen down. E, put the pen. It's like a thing that legit has been like stressful for me. I have weird.
And
problems.
this is why you're not president, and Donald Trump is.
What's going on with Hitchens?
Oh, so this book came out in April.
How like Darwin said he was Christian on his deathbed.
Larry Taunton, I think is the guy's name, but he basically put out a book saying, I knew Hitchens. I'm drinking it.
You're the slowest. It's fine.
I knew Hitchens, and Hitchens, he didn't say Hitchens converted, but he said like Hitchens thought about it or he leaned in that direction. When the truth is like, I'm pretty sure it's like Christopher Hitchens wasn't a dick to you because he was a friend, but he didn't, doesn't mean he agrees with you.
He didn't aggressively say like everything you believe is dumb and I think it's dumb. He was just like, oh, maybe.
And everyone who actually knew Hitchens is like, what are you talking? Like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
We all know Hitchens. We all know what he thought. And this
so
book
somebody
is
wrote
bullshit.
A book about that?
Long book about it.
But how does that fill up a book?
His memories of the traveling. It's like after you die, your magical friends come out of the shelves, and that's the wrong metaphor. But your friends come out of the whatever, and
when you die, I'm going to write a really long book about how you definitely were Christian.
That's exactly it.
So American Idol was canceled. That was actually a big debate in my place of work of whether that was a good shit or a bad shit. I put it in good shit because it had its run.
When did you stop watching it? Because everyone stopped watching
the only time I ever watched a full season, I think I watched the first season with like Sir Kelly Clarkson, who's the shit. And I watched the one when Jordan Sparks won, and she sang that song from A Land Before Time, and I cried.
No idea what you're talking about.
Don't worry about it. Right. Okay. I really feel like you didn't give me enough credit on this sheet because it's a spreadsheet.
It is very nice.
And each month had a different color.
I did notice
that. Listen,
I noticed it.
I'm about to leave my job, so I'm doing everything I can to not work. And so I made an inappropriately elaborate spreadsheet for this podcast. Okay.
I also like how you froze the top column, so the bad shit is always there. I mean, it's just an impressive little...
I'm a fucking professional. Okay, so May.
Oh, here's the death that's...
Harambe?
Oh my God, you blasphemed him.
I don't care.
Harambe.
May he rest in peace. I don't think she'll ever listen to this podcast, but my coworker Rachel, I was in a meeting and I was like, hey, I'm making a shit list for 2016. You guys want to see all the shit that happened? And she was sitting next to me. She kept going, don't forget Harambe. Don't. We have like a whiteboard table and she kept writing it in front of me. I'm like, I'll fucking put it in there. Harambe died. Don't care. I mean, it's not that I don't care. I don't want anybody to die.
I can't believe that's the meme that has lasted as long as it did.
In the context of this year, I don't care. Okay. So this one, Cruz. So I want to talk about this. So Cruz dropped in May. Cruz dropped out.
Drops out
and made Trump the presumptive nominee. Mm-hmm. So even now that we know that Trump is going to be our president, sorry, it's fine. Would you take Cruz or Trump? Because I was always saying that I would rather take a Trump over Cruz because I think Cruz has more conviction behind the insane shit that he says. Right. And I also think he's like holding his family hostage every minute of every day. But that's neither here nor there, and I do not have evidence for that. But my thought with Trump was always, now I think I was super naive, but I just thought that like, okay, Trump is going to say what he has to say to get in the White House, and then he's not going to follow up on any of that. Cruz believes that like gay people are going to hell or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I know it's a question I've asked myself too. Like, would any of the other Republican candidates that had a chance like have been better? And with Cruz, you would not get like necessarily different cabinet appointments. Yeah. He would have chosen some of the same people, or at least raised the prospects of the same people. We know who he would have appointed. He would have been bad, no doubt. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been easier to for liberals to rail against Ted Cruz and say, this guy doesn't represent all the stuff liberals stand for. Mm-hmm. We need to rise up and get people elected in 2018 to stop him, 2020 get a different president, whatever. With Trump, here's what that throws up. Here's what that kind of puts up in the air. Mm-hmm. It's not just that he's going to select the same people, but lie about how he gets to that position and he's going to also pretend like he's not part of the establishment while picking all these letting the establishment people pick everybody.
This drain the swamp bullshit makes me want to punch a wall.
Yes, and he is going to let the conservatives kind of run his show, which Cruz was going to do anyway because he's one of them. The problem is now there's a whole different problem which is now we're talking about all the fake news stuff. We're talking about how does journalism even work? Mm-hmm. We're talking about like Rust Belt states and like jobs and how do you even, why did they support a guy like that? Mm-hmm. I wish Cruz was the nominee because I think it would have been easier to get Democrats to vote against
I feel like
him.
I was so fucking naive and wanted a Trump
But
nominee.
I don't think I would have been any happier with a Trump president with a Cruz president over a Trump president because it would have been the same shit, but at least it would have been, oh, this is politics. This is what happens when you elect a conservative.
Sure.
But that's easier to fight against. With Trump, what do you attack? There's so much.
Well, there's so much, and also he's impossible to pin down.
Yeah.
Because he's said a lot of terrible things. Like, he's 100% a misogynist and anti-Semite and racist.
We had this conversation before we started taping this, which is that we're taping this on a Thursday night. We're taping this on a Thursday night, and this is going to go up this weekend.
Yeah.
But between now and then, who knows what the hell's going to happen?
The world's going to be set on fire between now and then.
And with Ted Cruz, it's like, yeah, all right, this is going to suck.
Do you want to make predictions for the next 3 days?
Oh, God.
No,
By the time this goes up on air, oh, my God.
I don't want to think about it.
Why do we have to have this conversation?
Can I tell you the only good shit that I had down for May is that there was the first U.S. penis transplant.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I did my best. Sometimes you just need something in the win column. Okay, June. Okay, here's the thing with June.
Yes.
Because Brexit happened in June.
Yes.
And that is the moment that I think I went into the deepest denial. Because Brexit happened, which was a clear predictor that Trump was going to happen. In hindsight, I understand that. I see that. I was so fucking naive that I was like, oh, America saw what Brexit did. They saw what the uninformed vote did. They saw what xenophobia does, racism does, and we're going to be like,
and gullibility and being misinformed about everything.
Bing.
Yeah.
And
see, here's your problem. You assume people are smart.
Oh my God, I want them to be so smart.
You assume they actually care about this stuff. And like, no one cares about anything. That's what this election taught me. It's like, you know what bubble we're in? We're in the bubble that actually pays attention to some of this stuff.
Oh God, I'll find it so we can put it in the notes, but I read a really interesting article about how middle America is, we talk about your liberal bubble, right?
Yeah.
Like they talked about how like, realistically, if we're talking about what a bubble is, you're talking middle America because you and I have had Black friends and talked to people in different religions and like things like that. We've experienced other people and have come to our conclusions thereby. Whereas I lived in Montana and most of those people had never left the state. I shouldn't say most, and I should say no. Most of those people stayed where they lived their entire life. They didn't know any Black people. They didn't know any minorities. They didn't know anybody who wasn't a God-fearing Christian. And like, that's what a bubble is.
Right. And this is something that's come out in the past few weeks too, which is that all young people tend to be moving to places where Democrats already are.
Yeah.
No one's moving to Kansas. No one's moving to Montana. Like,
Kansas, we love you. We'll come on tour.
No one's moving to the states
where
Republicans
Can we go on a tour? Would anybody see us?
No one would see us.
Okay. I just want to travel. I'm going to be out of a job soon.
If you want to
travel.
If you want us to come to Jessica will bring the box of wine.
Oh, you better fucking believe it.
We'll
$16.
have one box. We'll have one box. We'll pass it around the audience.
Well, I'll have one box for me. You guys can figure out your own
Done.
shit. Do you think anyone would see us? Nobody would see us live. What would we talk about?
What would we talk about?
Literally nothing.
That's all right.
Not being white guys. I feel like that's our main topic of conversation. Okay. So Brexit happened.
We'll bring the corpse of the
third
my
God,
host.
Brexit, the height of xenophobia. You guys, Britain, you guys are supposed to be our smart people. Muhammad Ali died, which was, this is not a good story at all, but literally the month before I was in the cemetery where Muhammad Ali eventually got buried. Yeah. I was visiting one of my best friends in Louisville. And we got a little bit drunk and walked around. It was Memorial Day week. I'm a terrible person. And we walked around. Like, they have people, like, they give you maps and you can walk around the cemetery. I wish I remembered what it was called. But we tried to find our way to Colonel Sanders' grave and got lost. And so some guy picked us up in a golf cart and brought us over.
That's
Hi, Leslie. I love you. You're my favorite.
I think that's the fourth whitest thing you've said on this podcast.
First of all, how dare you? Okay. Oh, God. So some shooting shit happened. So Christina, is it Grimy? I feel like this is the thing you know. You watch reality TV.
No, I watch good reality TV. I don't watch The Voice.
Okay, you watch Survivor, so I don't have time for you to judge. Anyway, this young woman
Christina, but yeah, a winner of The Voice got shot.
And she just got shot in Florida, I think. The UCLA shooting happened. Who else got shot? Orlando.
Yeah.
That was hard.
That was hard.
That was really hard for
It's like the intersection of so many worlds because you have LGBT people getting killed basically at a place for LGBT people. You have gun control issues, which there was a security guard with a gun who couldn't stop it. So there's that.
Latin night or something.
Yeah,
so it was specifically geared toward Latino. It was geared toward minorities. That was
Here's what's
fucking
what was
hard.
interesting to me in the aftermath of this tragedy. You had Republicans obviously calling this a horrible thing because what else are they going to say? Sure. But it's like, what happens when, like, Republicans who have fought against LGBT rights, what are they going to say? Because I think Anderson Cooper had an interview with Pam Bondi, who's the attorney general in Florida. She's like, this is horrible. We're going to reach out to them and help them. But, like, she has said and tried to pass bills or whatever, fought against legislation that gave LGBT people rights. So, like, she's not an ally of the community. Marco Rubio isn't an ally of the LGBT community. So it's like, what are they going to do to actually stop this sort of hate? Because they don't feel like there is any hatred on their end. That's one aspect of that.
You bring up a really interesting point that I feel like I should have thought of before this, but it's anytime you have gun violence against a school or gun violence against a church or something like that, it's very easy for people to be like, oh, they didn't deserve that. But what does the right have to say? You've been spouting the vitriol against our LGBT community.
You're the ones who want guns all over the place.
You want guns everywhere. And they're calling this guy a terrorist like, oh, boy was born in the U.S.
Right. He's not born from ISIS. He wasn't born over there. He's one of us who got inspired.
Which, honestly, the only thing that they have to pull from that is like, oh, he was brown, so like probably we should like.
What was really here's taking that even to a bigger extreme. There were a handful of pastors. These are obviously fringe, extremist, technically independent, fundamental Baptist churches.
But they said.
Who said, we're glad they died. We wish the shooter would have taken more of them because they are homosexuals. Therefore, they are... First of all, they weren't all. Secondly, it's like, this is what...
Who fucking cares?
When we talk about, Christians love to say we love the sinner, hate the sin... No. There are people out there
you hate
who
everybody.
hate everybody.
You hate everybody who's not you.
Right. And what was annoying is that what are you can't arrest them. They have the freedom to say this shit. But what's annoying is that it's not like a lot of these churches. There are churches who spend every week talking about how homosexuality is a problem. They don't go this far. They would never celebrate the death of a gay person.
Yeah, but at what point does...
But they will do anything they can to make sure gay lives, like the people who are LGBT, don't want to live. They don't want them to die, but they don't want to make their life worth living.
They don't give a...
They're how much better are they than the people who are like celebrating their deaths? The ones I'm talking about literally said... I'm glad they died. I wish more of them had been killed. But they went on to say, we're not saying gay people should be executed. We just think the government should pass laws to execute gay people.
I guess that's my biggest problem with Christianity, and not to like put too fine a point on it regarding this bullshit dumpster fire year and my weird shit about religion. But when you have a religion that's supposedly based on this man who was all about forgiveness and loving your neighbor and being generous, I guess I just have never been able to understand how somebody who says they're Christian and who believes in all the tenets of Jesus Christ is then, and whether or not you believe Jesus Christ existed, these people are saying, like, this is a person who believed in X, Y, and Z.
This is our role model. This is what we want to live up to.
But in the same breath, they actively hate people.
Look what they say about Middle Eastern people. Hey, guess what, Jesus?
Which is,
right.
But like, it's that, or it's like the welfare thing of like, oh, we can't serve welfare queens. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Jesus was pretty into giving.
Money to the poor, helping the poor,
And it's to me, that's the most frustrating thing, is that it's so hypocritical on its face. If somebody was a sincere Christian,
And let's be clear, there are good Christians on this issue, too.
Course,
you're not
right.
saying otherwise, yeah.
I mean, don't put words in my mouth. No, you're 100% right. There are 100% good Christians. Yeah. But it seems to be the Christians in public life who are running our country say, oh, I'm a good Christian, so I don't want abortion to happen. But once babies are born, I don't give a fuck if they get fed.
This is a thing. I saw this on Christian websites, too. Who is... I know we're not in a memory, but whatever. Who is better if you're a pro-life person, who's better to vote for, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton? And the argument made by some pro-life Christians was Hillary Clinton is better. Why? Because, yes, she is supportive of abortion, but if your goal is to reduce the number of abortions, what do you have to do? Make sure women have access to birth control, and men have access to contraception. Make sure that after the baby is born, women know that their babies will be cared for, that the mothers will be cared for, that you're going to do everything you can to give them the education they need. You will make sure that if they give birth to this child, that child will be okay.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton had programs in place to make that happen, and Democrats want to make that happen. So their argument was, if you are pro-life... Mm-hmm. You can try to ban abortion with Donald Trump. That's not a way to stop it.
Yeah. So, people talked about self-care after the election. We're not in November yet, I know.
Yeah.
But self-care after election, like, do you have to do to, like, make sure you don't break down and lose your shit like I did multiple times? So not for some reason, the day after the election, I said, and I think I tweeted it or whatever, and I said, okay, this is the moment I'm done watching people be like mildly racist or mildly whatever and just letting it go for the peace of everything. Mm-hmm. So my form of self-care has been arguing with strangers on Facebook, which I understand.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Can't stop. I can't stop. I did have one conversation that ended with a stranger, like a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, who accused my brother of being an illegal immigrant, which was the best moment of my entire fucking life. Because I had to tell my brother, like, hey.
He's illegal.
Because I said something. My brother's a high school teacher, and he was freaking out after the election, understandably, because he works in southwest side of Chicago. So a lot of his kids are either black or Hispanic, and many of those kids are...
This is a conversation I had with a lot of my teacher friends, with my sister's a teacher too, and it's like, what did you tell your kids the day after the election? I've had this with the coaches I work with too, and they said, one of them said, I just sat down, I'm like, I have taught history for many years, I've taught government for many years, I've followed politics for many years. Nothing in my database of knowledge can prepare me for what happened last night. So tell me what's on your mind. Let's talk through it. Tell me what is bothering you, and maybe we can work through some of this stuff. And they all had variations of the same, and it didn't matter what they taught, because no one's going to talk about anything else the day after.
Because you have to...
But yeah, when you work at a school with a large Hispanic, a large poverty population, these are conversations that were happening all over the country.
Yeah, my brother, I have a little group text with my folks and my brother, and he was saying, we're all talking about it, and my parents are a little more removed. My brother and I are obviously super liberal. Not obviously, we're super liberal. And we're having this group text about, like, how did this happen? And somebody said, like, oh, we just have to pick up and move on. And my brother goes, oh, well, I have 4 undocumented kids in my class. Maybe that's going to be a hard sell. And I'll think... My dad, this made me cry at the time, but my dad, who's newly retired, was like, if anything happens, I will put as much money as I can into making sure that they don't don't get
that they're safe.
Yeah, that they're safe, which is I think very noble of my father, and it made me think a lot of him, considering this is the first time he voted for a Democrat in 30 years, 40 years. But it is also really noting how scared people are. And I don't know, man. Okay, we're not in November yet. I have to get. I'm sorry. This is just shit.
It's
that
all good.
upsets
Go through your
me.
list.
What month are we in?
We're still in June.
Brock Turner, that motherfucker, that dumb ginger.
Do you want to explain?
No, they know.
Do they?
So Brock Turner got convicted of raping a drunk woman and got, was it 6 months? 6 months in jail because...
I thought it was less than that, maybe.
Well, he got 6 months with the understanding he'd probably only do 3 because his father had this whole speech of like 20 minutes of a bad idea. And the judge was like, oh, you're promising and you're a swimmer and you're a dumb looking white guy. I'm sure he said something else.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to ruin your life
This dumb,
over
rich,
this.
white motherfucker got... They were so worried about ruining... We should have done this in reverse because I'm getting a little drunk and mad.
No, you need to be. We're getting into the heavy stuff.
Fuck. No, everybody was so fucking worried about Brock Turner's life. Oh my God, how is he going to recover? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what you did. That God fucking...
Yes.
He is the epitome of men thinking that there are no consequences to what they do. They don't fucking care. This young woman's life was ruined, and everyone's like, "Oh well, there's no reason." He's a good swimmer.
She gave a statement at his.
Oh my God!
At his sentencing, I think that was amazing.
Did you read it?
Yeah,
I wept. Yeah. I've not been in her specific position, but I so deeply relate to her idea of like, when things like this happen. Yes, it happened to her, but the ripple effect that went through her family, it's shit you don't get over.
And what message does that whole incident send to other women who have been assaulted? Then, the system doesn't really care. We're not really going to hurt your rapist.
I'm so grateful that they didn't release her name.
Yeah.
That is a thing that I would love to meet her one day, but I never want her name to get released because
let her live her life.
Yeah,
as much as she can.
I mean, she had to leave her job because this trial took over everything. God, I hate 2016. We have to move on, otherwise I'm going to yell more.
Harambe died again.
Oh God damn it. Okay, I have a lot of... Oh, Hamilton!
The only good thing that happened last year.
Hamilton won the Tony. I told you I'm seeing it next week. I did on Monday or Tuesday night. I had an alumni thing, and I got a drink with one of my best friends from college, and I accidentally did a drunk history of Hamilton because I'm reading the book right now.
As you're talking about taking your shot.
Yeah.
Throwing away your shot.
I'm not throwing it away.
I know.
No, but it doesn't matter. It's not a funny story. But I was bragging about how I'm reading this 800-page book. It's so fucking long, but it's really good. I'm reading the Hamilton bio.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, should I see it?" I was like, "Oh, you 100% should. It's a really interesting story." And she's like, "Is his life that interesting?" I was like, "Girl,
oh my God,
buckle up." And
let me tell you.
Bless her heart, she let me yell all about it. Affirmative action was upheld. That was good. SCOTUS overturned trap laws. That was exciting. The military opened to trans. The reason rally happened.
Show the one atheist thing here.
I forgot we're an atheist podcast. Are we still?
We are still.
Okay.
In June, they had the Reason Rally, which it was 4 years after the first real big one.
Which is the first time we met, by the way.
At Reason Rally.
The original Reason Rally.
We go.
Mikey recognized you. I didn't even. He was like, "Isn't that the guy on the website you're always on?" I'm like, "I don't know. He's brown."
That's pretty much the conversation I have with everyone I meet. It's all right.
Okay, but anyway, so I couldn't go. I was officiating my best friend and her now wife's wedding. It was incredible. It was the best thing I've ever done. Hey, if anyone wants to get married, I'm officiated.
There you go.
I'm ordained.
This one was
Illinois,
interesting because the first one, well, technically it's the second one, but in 2012 they had anywhere between 20 to 30,000, depending on which estimate you want to do. It was raining, but it was a good event. This year, there was never an official count. but I can
Really?
tell you anecdotally or from my view, it's like this is a lot less. And here's the thing. As an event, I mean, everyone I met there, and I walked around. There were so many awesome people there. Everyone there seemed to love it. All the reaction afterwards seemed to be really like, this event must have been bad because not enough people were there.
So what happened this year? Because like 2012,
I wrote a long post about like why was this one not a special? You don't read the blog. It's fine.
I mean, I do sometimes.
No, here's what I'm getting at.
I want to
like,
see the comments.
I tried to figure this out because I wanted to know like why wasn't this one? It didn't get the media attention as much as the first one did. It didn't get the people. Even the speakers, they were fine, but most of them, I think, were not really known for being atheists.
Yeah,
they were like, okay, some science-y people.
Did you get invited to talk?
No.
Whoop.
They did not invite bloggers per se. They did not invite any atheist YouTubers or podcasters. This is one of my complaints that I think if you want to reach out to atheists...
You're still in your first glass of wine. It's stressing me out.
I'm talking.
Ugh.
And I have the computer in front of me. You see.
Whatever.
I'm drinking. But yeah, I was like, I think that's if they ever do it again, which after this time, I don't think they're ever going to do it again. Because it's a lot of money for what? For what? Because if you don't get...
I mean, how do you get your ROI on that? Like...
Yeah, they would sell a lot of merchandise. All the groups who were giving the money to fundraise for the event had their table. So if they could get membership, that was a way to get the return on their investment. There were ways and donations and tickets to get VIP seats and all this stuff. There were ways to get the money back. I don't think they made the money back. And every group that gives money goes in knowing we're probably not going to get this back.
Because that's not the goal.
That's not the goal. But it's worth it. This is an investment we want to make. But I think my biggest complaint about it, and by the way, I will say this as someone who enjoyed the event and saw too many people who also enjoyed the event, was if you really want to reach atheists in this country, how do you do that? Is it through certain speakers? Because like Richard Dawkins had a health problem. He couldn't be there. But like, is it through the speakers you invite on stage? Or how else do you get the word out? I think for a lot of people, they didn't even know this thing was happening. Yeah. And it's like, well, yeah, because you didn't talk to where the atheists are at. Yeah. They're not like reading the Dawkins books anymore because those are like 10 years old. I think more of the atheists who actually care about this stuff are either online
internet
or podcasts,
atheists.
internet, whatever, and they didn't really reach out to that segment of the world. Yeah. That was one issue. I had plenty of other ones, but it's like, I also have been on the other side where I'm organizing or helping organize this sort of thing. And it's like, there are so many things you have to deal with that you're never going to be complaint free.
Sure.
And I know so many of the people who helped organize the event. And it's like, I know they did everything they could to make it work. And even that's not enough, you know? So it's like, you can't win. But it was disappointing that I don't think the Reason Rally this year got the attention or respect that I felt it should have gotten.
Yeah, I think the 2012 Reason Rally, they got a lot of good names, right?
Yeah.
So this is 2012. So this is...
They had Dawkins, they had like Tim Minchin, they had Eddie Izzard.
That's what I was about to say. Eddie Izzard and Tim Minchin, people who like... Either you know who they are because they are famous atheists, or alternatively, you don't necessarily who they are. I didn't know who Tim Minchin was in 2012, and
but
now
you found out then.
When his "Thank You God" performance, I want to say 2012. This is the first time you and I met, and literally we were just like wandering through a field, and Mike, who was like, "Isn't that the weird guy who you read about all the time?" I was planning on going with a girlfriend of mine, and then she had to bail out, and I picked my now husband, then boyfriend, up from his job at like Friday at 3.
Yeah.
We drove all night, got to a girl's place who I kind of knew, dropped my car off, and literally went, because we went from Chicago, so it was probably later.
It's a long drive.
Yeah, it's like 12-ish hours. Yeah. So we literally dropped the car off, put our inflatable mattress in her apartment, got on the train, went to Reason Rally, and it was cold, and it was rainy, and it was shitty, but I had so much fun.
And this is what I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, why would I even go to this thing? It's out of the state.
It's community, man.
How often do you get surrounded by other atheists who have been through the same shit you've been through? Like, you have a religious family, you You hide your atheism because you don't want to start arguments with people. And for once, you're surrounded by people who are like celebrating. That's if you haven't been through it or you live in a state where you can't do that, man, that makes such a big difference to you.
And
maybe not to like us because of where we live and whatever.
People who
we live in these liberal bubbles, like we're saying. But for the people who don't, I'm telling you, that stuff makes such a huge difference.
Well, and that was because of the Reason Rally and how important it was to me. And again, I lived in Chicago at the time. We both live in the Chicagoland area. I'm not somebody weird who's the atheist. Like, I'm very much accepted, if not the norm. But there was something about being there of not just people who are like, yeah, I don't believe in God either, but like, hey, this is something I'm passionate about, and this is something I see. I see that religion can really damage things. It was I would argue it was a turning point in my life, and it was one of the reasons that when you put out a call for new writers, I was like, yeah, I can do this.
One of the cool things about this year's Reason Rally,
you were supposed to meet us for a drink afterward, and you didn't.
I don't know. Oh, I was dying.
Yeah, because you were allergic to cats, question mark?
Yes, and I was around cats the night before, and I almost literally had to go to the emergency room. I ended up just passing out in some random person. At the time, it's like someone just carried me to somebody's hotel room.
Oh, no.
And I remember the
For the record, though, Hemant owes me a drink from 2012.
I do. The very nice...
I brought this box of wine.
The very nice person whose room they threw me in called my girlfriend, now wife, and said, hey, just FYI, your boyfriend's in my hotel room.
Pretty much dead.
And he's dying, but whatever.
I remember I was like frantically like texting or emailing you and be like, hey, we're at this place he told us to meet.
And here's me dying.
Anyway, now we're friends. I'm in your house.
So
is that weird? Is that the weirdest thing I've ever said? Now I've forced you.
I'm pretty sure you said about 8 things this podcast that are...
Okay.
I don't think they're going to do another Reason Rally. That's my prediction.
That's understandable.
This is not based on any intel that I have.
I was sincerely devastated that I couldn't be there, but I think 2012 was the perfect time to do it. I think that was kind of a turning point. I did
want to say, one cool thing about this year's Reason Rally, they had a couple of Congress people who spoke at the rally this year.
Congresspersons? It doesn't matter.
Tulsi Gabbard, who is a Democrat who is flying high right now. She's awesome. She spoke.
What's her name?
Tulsi Gabbard. She's a rep from Hawaii. She was an early Sanders supporter this year. She is one of the up-and-coming Democrats. She's great. She spoke there. Jamie Raskin, who just got elected from Maryland, who is one of the probably unaffiliated but technically Jewish members of Congress now.
Sure.
He spoke there. I mean, you actually had people in Congress saying, yeah, I don't mind speaking at an atheist rally. Yeah, that's kind of neat.
But I think that was, and I love that. I think the problem, though, is my understanding when they're setting it up. How long have we been?
Don't worry about it. Okay. They'll listen. They'll all listen for all 7 hours of this podcast.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. It doesn't matter. I don't have to work tomorrow. I do. I just work from home. Whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. My understanding was that I don't want to talk about Reason Rally anymore.
Yeah, right.
I am very jealous I didn't get into it. I will say my best friend, I married her and her wife, and my best friend did wear a Winnie the Pooh costume at some point because that is what my group of friends does. There's a Winnie the Pooh costume that's passed around that has been worn at like 5 different weddings. And Leah did it. Anyway.
This is the part of the podcast that will be played on right-wing websites.
No, it's just one of those things. Like my group of buddies. Because you weren't at my wedding. Doesn't matter.
I know.
Whatever. I'm not mad about it. Oh, the kid got eaten by an alligator. That's a fucking nightmare. Pet Summit died. The women's basketball coach.
I used to live in Knoxville. That was sad. I was around when she was at like the
peak.
Were you? At her peak. And Peyton Manning was
great lady.
At UT at the same time. So it was like everything in Knoxville was all college sports all the time.
Yeah.
And they were really good.
You're into college sports, aren't you?
Sports is one of the few things I do watch.
That's weird.
Even if I don't really care for it.
College sports are a thing. It doesn't matter. Also, I'm officially done with football.
Yeah, I think everyone is.
Yeah, right?
No one's watching.
My husband has been a Bears fan his entire life. And this year, like 2 weeks ago, he's like, I haven't watched a single game. It's just, I'm done with it. There's nothing good about football anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, the Bears suck this year, but like, I haven't seen...
Which makes it easier to not watch.
Which makes it easier to miss them. But I haven't seen like I only watch football passively. There's no game that I'm like, oh, I really got to watch
Like if I'm
this.
in a room, I'll watch it, but I'm never putting it on. Okay.
July.
God,
we're only at July.
Jesus Christ. How long have we been talking?
I don't know. Hour. Whatever.
Jesus. Okay, so
I'll cut out the first 45 minutes.
So I'm necessarily sure I'm going to say this name wrong. Do you know how to say this name?
Ellie Weisel.
Ellie Weisel? Oh, that's what I was going to say. I just assumed I was going to say it wrong.
I have not read Night. I should. That's an important
Either. I'm
one,
the
isn't it?
worst. Okay, but
He died.
Holocaust survivor, Nobel Prize winner, good human all around. That was hard. North Korea did some bullshit. That's fine. North Korea, listen.
North Korea.
Honestly, at this point, now that
list.
Trump is our president, like, North Korea is like our kid brother. Bastille Day, there was an attack in Nice. That sucks. Germany had like 4 separate attacks in July. July was the pits.
Until probably August. I haven't looked down. I haven't scrolled down yet.
There's a knife attack in Japan.
Oh, so many
Hillary's
crazy.
emails suck my dick. Oh, Gary Marshall died. I don't know why I said that as if that was like the biggest moment of July.
Trump picks Pence. That happened.
Okay.
Black Lives Matter. We had a couple things in here where it's.
Wait, did I?
You had one earlier too.
Oh no, it's 2 pages. I didn't realize it's
there
2
we go.
pages.
Where you have these attacks happening on black people and the cops and or get acquitted. I mean, it's.
Well, do you remember when I think Philando Castile? I don't know if that's the right name. Did you see that video?
I believe I did. Yeah.
It is. So if you guys don't know his name off the top of your head, it's a woman and her, I think, boyfriend, who they got pulled over, and the guy said, "I'm carrying. I have a gun," and he slowly reached for his gun and went to pull it out and got shot and literally died on video. On this woman who had the foresight to say, "Okay, I'm gonna record this," and it's so upsetting. It's so upsetting because, I mean, for myriad reasons, right? Like, clearly it's just a black guy getting fucking shot by the cops again. But the worst part about it is you hear the NRA and you hear the right saying like, well, if you had your gun, whatever. This guy literally did everything right. Yeah. He said he was carrying a gun, which was his legal right, because I don't know exactly
But he said he
where
has it. He wasn't pulling it on
I
them.
have it, and I'm reaching for it, and he was fucking shot and killed in his own goddamn car.
Even when they say on the right, like, well, if they just paid attention to the cops, like, at what point does even not totally listening to a cop warrant a death penalty?
No, and that's 100%. I think that's the thing that
Like, this was
frustrates
not
me the
they were
most.
threatening
of like,
the cop's
yes.
life. They were like running away from the cop.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not listening to the cop. Why does that warrant a death penalty? And when you have it on video and they still
what
get
are you
away
gonna
with
say
it,
about
what
it?
else is there?
What can you possibly say?
Yeah.
Unless if he had a gun like attached to his head and you know, because it's shit like that of like, oh, if you don't, I can't. What can I say? What can we say that's new? What can we say that is not?
Black people need to wear GoPros at all times. That's the new rule. And even when they do, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, it did, because he was filmed the entire.
Yeah.
And with absolute honesty, I've watched that video a few times because I was so upset by it, and I'm a masochist. And the cop who shot this guy seemed frantic. Like, he seemed panicked. He seemed
And what I don't get is when liberals are like, what are we asking for? It's like, well, police need training in how to deal, not with like implicit bias just or whatever, but it's how do you deal with these situations? When should you break out your gun?
Because guess what? Maybe not
everybody
everybody should be a cop.
Yeah. And that's it. That's not an attack on cops. That's saying we all have these blind spots. Let's get training in these issues.
I mean, if I said maybe you shouldn't shoot a person, that's not an attack on bloggers. That's me being like, Hemant, slowly roll.
I'll put away all my guns.
Okay, so that happened.
What else?
What month are we in?
We're in July.
Hillary's emails, don't give a fuck. Gary Marshall died. That sucked.
Yep. Roger Ailes got in trouble for all of his harassments.
Fuck Roger Ailes.
Melania cribbed Michelle Obama's speech. That was kind of amusing.
Okay. That was one of the bright spots. One of the bright spots because Melania rickrolled.
I do remember that. She had a line from that.
Okay. All right, if you weren't paying attention, which you should have been. All right, 2 things happened. Melania made a Trump. Yep. Melania made a speech, and I honestly, there's a lot of empathy I have for her because, like, this is not the shit she signed up for. She's a beautiful woman from Eastern Europe who just wanted to, like, shit in gold toilets. Like, that's all she wanted. So she had to make this speech in front of the RNC, and half of it was clearly cribbed from Michelle Obama's speech.
And for about an hour, it was the greatest speech delivered. Like, it was her shining moment for about an hour.
And then they're like, wait, girl.
Yeah.
And then she
it's so funny to think about.
Donald is never going to give you up. And he's never going to let you down. And it was, I mean, she rickrolled. The thing is, it was clearly a speechwriter who was like giving the middle finger to the whole Trump campaign. But spoiler alert, there's nothing they could do to stop that train.
Oh my God.
We're still in August? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Brazil impeached their president.
Oh no, we're still in July.
Oh, we're still in July. Motherfucker.
Yeah,
the Ark Encounter.
Ark Encounter opened up in July.
That's been several years in the making, right?
Been several $100 million. I'm saying this as you're drinking wine. $100 million plus project with taxpayer money.
Right?
In the form of a rebate, which if they break certain attendance
Listen,
numbers,
my mom's gone to JCPenney's
back.
many times. She's never actually written in for their rebate, so I'm still hoping. It wasn't a good joke. I was just hoping that would be funny.
You know they're going to capitalize on the rebates if they can. What I don't know, and what we haven't seen yet, is whether the attendance figures are matching up with their best estimates, because they seem to give different attendance
in August,
figures.
I feel like we have numbers now. Do we not?
They've given numbers, and here's the thing. They said we would get maybe 2 million over the first year. Now they've lowered that to like, we'll get 700,000 like we always said, or whatever they said. But the thing is,
we have like 700,000 people listen to this podcast, and it costs $0. By the way, that's not true.
Here's the thing about it, though.
Like 12 people.
And the way they talk about it, they assume everyone's going to visit the same numbers all the time. They're not going to visit as much in December when it's cold.
July.
And in the spring when the kids are back in school as much.
Or like when their kids are in science class and they're like, oh,
even
this
for the Christians, if you've seen it once, it's a fucking creationist museum. It's not like the exhibits change, so they're not going to go back and see it again necessarily.
Real quick.
Yes.
Road trip or?
I thought about it. So
yeah,
I've seen the Creation Museum twice now.
Oh, sorry.
I have not gone to Ark Encounter at all.
Hemant.
What's there to see?
Who cares? I just want to leave. I am about to be unemployed. I have so much time on my hands. We're going to go to Ark Encounters. I'm promising that to you right now, dear listeners, all 12 of you.
We'll do our road show there.
What month are we in?
We're still in July.
No, we killed July.
All right, we're done with July.
Okay, August. Brazil impeached their president by... Okay, Gene Wilder. So if we're talking about people who upset us most who died this year, Gene Wilder, that hurt my fucking heart.
Sad. Blazing Saddles is such a good movie.
Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein are my two favorite movies. Those are the movies that, like, if I'm, like, feeling depressed or feeling crabby, Mikey will put on. So I yell at the TV. Though... I remember specifically, Gene Wilder was on an episode of Will and Grace or something like that, like 10 years ago. Yeah. And everyone was like, oh, he looked old. And at that moment, 10 years ago, so I was like in my 20s or in my teens, I was like, it's going to fucking suck when Gene Wilder died. He is a person who is so... I think I feel about him the way a lot of people feel about Prince or David Bowie. Like, he was part of my childhood in a very real way. Yeah. That was hard. But it seemed like he had a peaceful death. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm so fucking bummed. Ryan Lochte was a nightmare human, as always. Okay, good shit. Okay, let's talk about the Olympics. Here's the thing. Yes. I love the Olympics. I love the Olympics.
I think I've watched more Bears games this year than the Olympics.
First of all, how dare you?
I know.
Second of all, the women were nailing this year in the Olympics. The women's...
Which events?
All the events. First of all, women's gymnastics team. Were like,
didn't we win that whole thing?
Yes, of course we did because we're so So not only was it the women fucking kicked ass, American women. I'm sure all women did great, but specifically, I'm thinking the American women did great. It wasn't just that they did so well. It was there were moments. It was all about. Do you know what shine theory is?
Which one?
Oh my God, shine theory.
No.
Okay, I hope people are still listening because we've been on for 7 hours. But shine theory is there's another podcast I listen to called Call Your Girlfriends, and Friedman, Aminatu So, and they and Friedman coined this term called shine theory. So it's about women working together. So in general, women tend to be what's the word?
I'm not going to answer that question for my own safety because I don't know where you're going with this.
No, they not confrontational. I've had too much wine.
My mouth is sealed.
So instead of women feeling like competitive is the word I was looking for. Yikes, badikes, competitive. And so instead of saying like, okay, you're a woman I work with and we're competing for the same spot. There's your wine if you need it.
Thank you.
Instead of saying that, it's like, if you're my coworker, you and I make each other look better. So if you don't shine, I don't shine. And
but if you do shine, then it builds us all up.
Yeah, it's all about it's about
rising tide lifts all boats sort of thing.
It's the same idea. Yeah. So like instead of saying like there's one spot for strong women, it's saying like if you don't shine, then I'm not going to shine. So we all have to. So it's been honestly one of the most important things that's happened to me in the last couple of years. I don't know if they'll ever listen to this, but I have this kind of girl crew at work with me right now who they're smart and capable and wonderful, and all we do is just like fucking support each other, and that's the most important I've done. I've been at my job for almost 4 years, and it's the most important thing I've done is just like support the other women. And anyway, what were we talking about?
We were talking about women rocking the fucking
Olympics. So when you look at the women's gymnastics team, it's like, of course they're competitive. Of course there's so much. But even whether it's within the U.S. team or like they're just fucking standing up for each other and being a part. It meant so much to me this year to just watch women supporting each other. And somebody, God, I wish I could remember. This is a few months ago now, but somebody literally fell, like collapsed in a track, and another woman was like, "Nope, we're gonna finish. Like this is what we're gonna do together." And there's something really.
That's awesome.
It's a thing that
It's a spirit we don't see on the news anymore.
No, 100%. And like, you know, you and I talk all the time about like being, you know, we're secular and we want to like support people who are also atheists or are. To me, the most important thing that's happened to me in a long time is being like, hey, like we're all women here. We're not competing against each other. So. Anyway, I had a sleepover with my coworkers. There was like 8 of us. They're my girl crew, and I'm leaving my job, and that was the worst part about it is saying, like.
The cool part is now you're free. You get to be friends with them and not have to deal with work stuff. So you get to be you get to talk about all that.
But I also
stuff.
lose my sway. I tried to get him a couple of promotions. Okay, August.
Let me bring up one thing.
Wait, do you not want to hear my heart anymore?
What
Nothing. Go ahead.
There's one atheist thing that happened in August. That's one of my favorite stories all year, which is
for Oklahoma.
Yeah, this atheist who worked at some random company. Guy comes in or woman comes in, says, "Do you want to make a donation to this charity?" He looks at it. It's a Christian charity. They help children. He's like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm an atheist, but whatever. Here's $100 check. And you know what? I'm going to make it on behalf of my atheist group.
Was this an individual person?
An individual person. He said, I'm going to make it on behalf of my atheist group because I think everyone's going to be fine with me giving $100 or something on behalf of my group. So he did. He made a donation. The lady goes back. He gets a call a little later, says, we're not going to take your money because we can't take money from atheists because, you know, there's some version of that. So then he's like, fuck you, you are going to take my money. And in fact, I'm going to give you more money. Like, raise his money online to the point where I think they were at like $28,000.
$28,000?
Yeah. Raised a ton of money. He's like, here's all the money. They're like, we're not taking your atheist money. And seriously, at this point, it's like
good with it.
It's for children. Why
can you imagine? Can you imagine being that vitriolic?
How much money do you have in your bank account that you're saying no? And
do I have to answer that? Or
they did not say like whatever proselytize atheism with the money.
Sure.
They said we're just atheists who want to help you out.
Yeah.
I mean, they did expect the same thing any donor did because I think the issue with the Christian group was in their program for their big charity, they list the donors. They did not want to list the atheists.
Which is...
And the atheists were like, no. We should be treated the same as all your donors. But that's all we're asking for. It's
so
nothing else.
Yeah.
So finally, they ended up. I think they gave the money to. I can't remember which charity. They gave it to another charity.
Somebody
so fine. But still, it was insane that this group said no to it. And by the way, the funny thing is that same Christian group, like, of course, like weeks later, is like, "Hey, we need some money." They put out
you
the
don't
fundraiser.
fucking say.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, our good guy has been a child molester, but we still have him because it doesn't matter. I'm mad at everything.
So anyway, September.
September. Do you remember? So Mother Teresa got sainthood. Fuck that noise.
That one still makes me laugh because in order to gain sainthood, you need to have performed 2 confirmed miracles. And both of her miracles are jokes, that the ones that they actually used in her sainthood. Like, obviously, there are no such thing as miracles, but the ones they said are basically this lady was sick, but then she, like, put Mother Teresa's picture on her stomach, and then she was okay. Yeah, it's like, that's not how medicine works, but all right. I guess she's a saint now.
Yeah, no, that's fine. North Korea tests nukes because who doesn't fucking need a psycho? Sorry, that's the U.S. now. We're not in November yet. Dakota Access Pipeline. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Charmaine Carr died. That was really hard. You've never seen The Sound of Music?
Of course I haven't.
Okay. When I was a child, I was obsessed with Liesl from Sound of Music because she had first of all, she's stunning. Second of all, she had a beautiful dress and she did some leaps over. It doesn't matter. That was really hard. She's beautiful and wonderful, and I was sad to see her die. For some reason, I put 8 more cops shoot people.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Brad and Angelina split. I felt like I needed to. Oh God, do you remember when Jose Fernandez died?
Yeah, the picture. That is sad.
That was really sad.
That
Yeah,
again,
he died
young guy, talented, dies in
just died in a boating accident. That sucked. Oh God, the first debate.
That was pretty amazing. I will say that because that was a highlight because it went so well for her. And it's like...
That's the thing, is like, at the time, I was like, everything Hillary has done is perfection. Yeah. In hindsight, I'm like, we didn't do anything right. Yeah. Which is not her fault.
Yeah. She wins all 3 debates, and it doesn't matter.
Doesn't fucking matter.
Let me say this, because we mentioned the Republican National Convention and the DNC, too.
Oh, yeah, we kind of skipped over that.
And the first debate, like, those things, the live primary debates and everything, that is why Twitter is awesome. At no other time is it as entertaining.
People, like, calling other people faggots.
Yeah, forget that stuff. But when it's those live events where it's like, yes, I live in my bubble and I don't care, but it is so much fun trying to outsnart everybody else. Yeah. It's what brings me joy.
Yeah. So the first debate happened. Oh, Congress overrides.
Sure.
Obama's veto allowing 9/11 victims to sue Saudi Arabia,
which is a
dangerous road to cross on.
Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, because that gives you it gives basically
anyone can sue over like war crimes, which we commit,
which is not a precedent we want to set. NCAA left North Carolina, which is great. I bought a house.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Mm-hmm. We are now neighbors.
Hello.
Hi. So if anyone wants to hang out in the western suburbs, Hemant and I are here having great lives. AKA we watch TV every night. Okay, October. I turned 31.
Congrats.
Thank you so much, Hemant. I really appreciate you remembering me in this time.
Yes.
So okay. Just so you know, another one of my coworkers, I was telling him about the shit list, which is what we're reading right now. And everything he brought up, he was like, what about all of those earthquakes? And he like told me about 70. So, okay.
So you put in earthquakes.
Yeah. So the Italy earthquake is dedicated to Jeremy.
Yeah.
That male birth control study. Okay.
I don't even know where you're going with this.
Oh my fucking.
Go on.
I'm putting this in my face. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm getting more wine and I'm going to yell.
All
okay.
Right, I'm going to mark this podcast as explicit.
Yeah. If you didn't say that the first time. Okay.
I just do that by default now.
So, do you not know about the male birth control study?
I'm trying to remember the story.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you all about it.
Please.
So, you know how women have birth control? You're familiar.
What?
Uh-huh. Okay. You only have one child, so I assume you guys have figured that
I've heard
out.
of these birth controls. Go on.
Birth control. I like pluralizing things. Okay, so there was a male birth control study, which is arguably necessary. Why you drink this wine?
I don't know.
Okay, so there was a male birth control study, which obviously involves hormones, because that's how birth control works. And so the idea was to lower men's sperm count in so much that they don't get women pregnant, which is something we all appreciate.
Yes.
So many men dropped out, and ultimately the study was abandoned because of the myriad complaints that men were having. So I really want to be measured in this because I don't want to be the person that like runs really far with it. But the idea was men were complaining about, first of all, pain at the injection site, which like fucking suck my dick. You got a shot. Of course it's going to hurt, you dumb motherfucker.
Right.
But I'm sorry. I hope kids aren't listening.
No one's listening. Go on.
But 2, they were dealing with some mood swings.
Okay.
They were dealing with weight gain. They were dealing with acne, which, girlfriend, I have been on birth control for 12 years. Yeah, that's all true. So many men decided to abandon it to the point where, so here's my issue. Yes, many men abandoned it, but the study was ultimately, I think, scrapped for at least now because there were so many men who had these issues. So I understand that there is a difference between the FDA in the 60s when women were dealing with birth control versus now, right? Like it's not apples and apples, right? It's apples and oranges. But I have been on birth control since I was like 18. I have dealt with all of the things.
Yes.
I've gained all of the weight. I've had the worst. I've had the worst skin. I am now not only on antidepressants, but also seeing a therapist because my PMDD is crippling me. But, and I understand that I get it, that like in the 1960s, people didn't give that much of a fuck about anything. But it sincerely bothers me that it is just understood that, like, so I'm 31 years old. I've been on birth control for 10 years. I've dealt with all of this bullshit. I have had days where I'm borderline suicidal because my hormones are fucking with me. Like, hormones are a real fucking thing. And it's okay. It's okay that I'm dealing with that. But, like, men are like, oh, my God, my shit hurts. And they're like, no, we can't fucking... Here's the thing is birth control alters the lives of almost every woman I know.
And these guys couldn't handle it for a study?
I mean, the thing is, it's not even that they couldn't handle it, which they couldn't, but it's that the FDA was like, oh, we shouldn't have to put men through getting acne. How dare we? You know? Like, it's... I'm grateful for birth control because, knock on wood, I've never been pregnant. But, like, I've gone through a lot of shit because of my birth control. Whether it was the pill, whether it's a NuvaRing, whether it's the IUD, my body and my emotions and my life have changed in a very big way. And you know what? It fucking sucks that they're like, oh my God, Hemant got a zit. He can't be on birth control. It wasn't him. I'm just mad at him. But you know what? Do you understand? Like, it makes me like more angry than it should.
I understand. I hear you.
Whatever.
What else is on your shit list?
Everything forever. What month are we in?
Let's move to November. Everything leads to November.
Wait, let me get to October. Oh, Bob Dylan won the Nobel Prize, and he like big timed them, which was dope.
Yeah.
Britain. Oh, you know what happened in October is that Britain pardoned 65,000 men who were charged with sexual offenses for being gay. So the Alan Turing
law. Yeah.
So
awesome.
They
too late, but thanks.
100% too late.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Before we move into November, can we just have this moment?
Yes.
Of the Cubs winning the World Series?
That's November though, but yes.
Oh yeah, it is November.
But yeah. Let me tell you. I'll tell you a quick story. I think I've told you this before, but my baby was born in October of last year. So right before that happened, it's like, so I heard. It's like, okay, I know this baby's going to be born and like I won't have time to do anything anymore.
Did you name her Rizzo?
I did. It's like, okay, what can I do to enjoy myself before the baby's here, right? And this guy on like the Chicago Cubs subreddit, or maybe the Chicago subreddit, basically says, I have one season ticket.
No.
One season ticket.
No.
But I can't go because I work on certain days. So you can have my ticket for a game, but here's what you have to do in return. I have a blog where I write about like
you've
every
told me about
game.
this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a blog where I write about every home game. This is last season, not the World Series season, but last year.
I remember.
He's like, just tell me what happened. Like, write a little. I'm like, I know how to blog. Let me take
I've
this
heard of
off
writing.
your hands.
Thank you.
So I ended up going twice for this guy.
No shit.
Third base side, like close to front row of the balcony, like upper deck. Awesome seats. Awesome seat. I just went by myself, and it was the best thing ever because it's like I don't have to deal with anyone else.
Yeah.
I can just sit and enjoy the game. I can play on my phone.
What series
as I'm
was
watching.
it?
There were no series. It wasn't a playoff game.
Oh, it wasn't a playoff
game? It was a regular They were good. They were heading to the playoffs. So it's like, this is a good
They
team.
were in 2015.
So it's like, oh, Lester's pitching. That's awesome. And I get to see these players. That's great. And it's Wrigley, which is beautiful.
Of course.
And so I went twice. It was awesome. And then this year I ended up seeing, I think, one game, but whatever. It was so fun to watch this year. And here's what pisses me off. I was thrilled as a lifelong fan that they did so well and they were in the World Series, and I was watching the whole time. It was so much fun and nerve-wracking in Game 7 and crazy.
Of course. Oh my God.
And here's what part of why I'm mad about the Donald Trump thing, not because of what happened, because I only got to enjoy that.
All the fuck over that.
There was less than a week of enjoyment of the Cubs thing before everything kind of fell apart in our little world.
Oh my God.
And it's like, I can't even enjoy this.
So me and my husband are both lifelong forever Cubs fans, right? My my dad, I feel like I talk about my dad a lot on this podcast. He'll be fine with that. My dad has this weird shit that he does that if when my cousins or whomever have a baby, he'll see the baby for the first time and go, maybe the Cubs will win the World Series during your lifetime. My dad's a sociopath, possibly. But anyway, so in this series, it was my mom, my dad, my brother, and I were on this text chain thing. And we were freaking... we're not religious. Nobody in my family is religious. This is the closest thing that I could talk about that was like a religious experience for my family. Mm-hmm. Mikey, my husband, and I watched it in our basement. Apparently he hasn't shown it to me yet because I'm sure it's not flattering, but he took like not a stop motion, but like a capture of the entire night of us watching Game 7. Sports is the closest thing I have to religion, with absolute honesty.
Well, you're in a communal spirit. Yeah. Everyone's excited.
There's no reason I'm a Cubs fan besides the fact my parents were a Cubs fan.
Right.
But Thanksgiving,
superstitions everywhere.
Exactly. And Thanksgiving, my folks live in Wisconsin now, so my brother, my husband, and I went up there. And like after dinner, we just rewatched Game 7 because my dad, he was in Florida. My folks were in Florida when they won. Did I tell you this story?
No.
So my dad's parents, my grandparents, are both buried in Florida, both lifelong Cubs fans. And after the Cubs won, my dad went to their grave site and left his Cubs hat on my... Yeah, it was... Awesome. We're a dramatic people.
People who have lived in cities where there's been a sports drought, they get it. And I don't think... I think it's hard if you don't follow these things as religiously, whatever, as people do, that they get it.
With absolute honesty, it's the only thing that I can kind of relate to religion about, is that I am a diehard Cubs fan for the rest of my life for no good reason, because for the last 30 years, they've been terrible. But, that's my team. Those are my guys.
And no one's going to be able to convince you otherwise. Yeah. And, it's very much like a religion.
Did you see Anthony Rizzo's... the
pocketing of the ball.
First of all, yes, but his dad was interviewed.
What do you say?
He's such a good boy. And I was like, oh my God, you're the best.
That's
okay.
Great.
Are you ready for November?
Yeah.
Do you want to start with Trump or do you want to end with Trump?
I mean, we've talked about all the Trump stuff on this site, on the blog, like for a while, and on the site too. But like,
let's talk about the people who died first. Leonard Cohen died.
Yeah, let's talk about happier things.
Janet Reno died. Florence Henderson died.
Man, Gwen Ifill died.
Oh, Gwen Ifill. Fuck. Okay. Let's talk about election night, okay?
Okay.
Because I think I tried to talk you into come to my house for election night, didn't I?
You might have.
Of just like, let's watch the returns together.
I remember
I was so fucking confident that Hillary would win. I feel like an idiot.
Mm-hmm. I remember my plan for election night was there were all these atheists running for office for statewide and a couple running for national office, but like a lot of state representatives, a lot of state senator. They were running for these positions.
Yeah.
Most of them had no chance in hell of winning. Some of them did.
Sure.
So I was super excited. I was going to be like, yeah, Hillary's going to win. And some of these others are going to win. And you know what? I'm going to follow all these other races and enjoy the big show, but like I'll talk about all this smaller stuff and as the night rolled on and things got progressively worse for all the stuff I like, I couldn't even pay attention to the atheist races as they won. I'm just like, I'll deal with this tomorrow. I think I was up until like 4:30, just kind of like, and there was no one to talk to because again, this is part of the living in the bubble thing. My Twitter feed was dead. It wasn't dead or it was just like, what's happening? We'll just look like this is not looking. It was not fun. Like debate night, fun.
Super fun.
The debates and the RNC, DNC stuff, that is fun. Sports, live events, that is fun. This was just, man, this was worse than someone dying because, like, at least when they're dying, they're passing around eulogies and, like, look at this memory. This was just, like, everything ever is just crazy.
Yeah, I was in my... just like in my house, and I had talked to like I think you and a couple of other my friends, but like, oh, let's watch the returns together because I was cocky as fuck. Like
as was everybody.
Of course we were.
Yeah.
And I think I reached out to you of like, let's watch the returns together. And so it was just me and my husband, and I was wearing this Nasty Women Vote tank that I'm wearing right now because I still believe that, and I think I killed one of these boxes of wine because so you've been to my house, right? Like, so there's like the couch and there's the area rug, right? And the TV is right in front of it. And as the night went longer, I got closer and closer to the TV. So by the time my husband went to bed, I had like obviously I was drinking wine because I believe in my country, but I had my glass of wine and I was kneeling at the end of my carpet like a child of like, there was just this naivete of like, this is sin. It was so fucking devastating.
Yeah. As I said this on another podcast with like a couple weeks ago or something, but
not our podcast. The only
it was
podcast
our podcast, but it was maybe with another guest or something. But what I said was, you know, I was in Grant Park in 2008 when Obama won.
Yeah,
that was an amazing experience. And this was totally the opposite of that. And the one consolation, maybe, if anything, is that in 2004, I also felt similarly devastated, but I was younger, so I hadn't had all this political experience. But I was super confident that after 4 years of George W. Bush, we would be done, and we weren't. And I thought that election was really bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like everything I knew was wrong, but I didn't follow it as closely as I do now.
I mean, how old were you in 2004?
I don't know,
like
21 or
19-ish?
something.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, here's the thing. 4 years later, it was kind of incredible. And whatever. Everything was awesome for a little while. So no matter what's happening now, I mean, yeah, Democrats got to get their shit together, but it very rarely stays this way for long. It's just a matter of dealing with all the here's what I don't get. In the weeks we've had since that election, what I still don't get are all these people who think he's going to like buck the establishment. He's not. He's doing exactly what the Republicans want.
You're 100% right.
He doesn't know what he's doing. They think he's like a smart businessman or something. He's not. That's what I don't get. It's as upset as Democrats and liberals were on election night, I really didn't see Republicans like overjoyed. I think they were more in shock than
Nobody
anything
was happy
else.
about this. Nobody's happy about
Donald
this.
Trump isn't their best guy either.
No,
like,
of course
you
they
have to
weren't.
defend Donald Trump if you're a Republican. You can't celebrate
Of course.
Donald Trump if you're a Republican. So they're not thrilled. They're just like, well, maybe other people will get through to him on our side so that he'll do everything we want. This is going back to the Ted Cruz versus Donald Trump thing, which they have so far.
Which they have.
So, and this is why it's like frustrating, because even Republicans who have been in politics, who talk about how much they love the country, are like, oh yeah, well, like Paul Ryan, whatever, like all those other Republicans, totally following whatever he's doing. Nothing he does is wrong, you know? And it's like, if Obama did any of the stuff Trump is doing, if Hillary Clinton did any of the stuff Trump is doing, they would be throwing a shit fit.
Well, and the fact that Trump is still like tweeting about shit. Like, I'm embarrassed I'm secondhand embarrassed, which is not hard for me because I'm embarrassed all the time about everybody. But like, girl, if somebody is making fun of you on SNL, it is your literal only job to take that gracefully. Right? Like,
that's part of the job. Even if they like they didn't not make fun of Obama on everything.
And everybody fucking worshipped Obama.
Yeah.
But they still made fun of him because you know what? That's just what happens. Yeah. I don't.
Maybe if the media makes fun of him enough, he'll get so distracted he won't launch
be
the
able
nuclear
to
weapon.
sign anything. No, but with absolute sincerity, it freaks me the fuck out because I don't know what Trump believes in.
No one does. He doesn't believe in anything. He's never thought about stuff.
No, of course he hasn't. All I know is that he's xenophobic, right? Like,
I don't even think he is. I don't think he is. I don't think he's ever thought about this stuff to like hate people. I think he does whatever he.
I think he cares about what
you're coming after
he
me.
does.
I'm just going to come after you with more power because that's all he believes in. It's all he knows. It doesn't look like it's getting any better. And here's what I don't get too: like atheists, since we're on an atheist podcast.
Who? What?
I know. There are a lot of people who supported Trump. Like the nuns, I think about it almost...
listen to our podcast?
No one listens, so I don't know. But 25% of nuns...
Fuck you. Yeah.
25% of like nuns voted for Trump.
Hey, if you're listening to this podcast and you voted for Trump, I don't like you and I want to be your friend.
You're pushing people away from our tour
Don't
audience.
care. Also, let's go on tour.
But, like, he's going to be bad for church-state separation. He's going to be bad on all these.
Yeah,
if you care about science and education and reason and logic and all that, like, he's going to be bad for them. And, like, I don't know. I feel like I see that very clearly. And all these people are like, no. He doesn't really care about, like, hurting science.
Here's the thing.
He's
the people who are
by people who do.
The people who are super fine with the Trump, guess what, are white men.
No, that's the thing. It's not just them.
It is.
There were women who voted for him. There were Latinos who voted for him. There were atheists who voted for him. Yes, smaller groups, but like still.
Yeah, I don't understand how a person can vote against their own best interest. And I know that, and I know that's like the most obnoxious. Here's the thing. It's like the last 2 months, I feel like I've been living every moment. And everything I've said has been like, oh, this is why people hate liberals, which is 100% me. I'm never going to deny that. But like, hey, I think that people who have children should be able to raise them. Or I think minorities should maybe not be carted off to jail for being brown.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've protected you so many times.
Thank you.
No, but it's the thing is like, I'm obviously very liberal, but I don't think what I'm saying is very... I'm not doing a weird thing. I'm just saying, like, hey, maybe somebody shouldn't be fucking brought off to jail because they're brown. That doesn't fit. Is this going to
That shouldn't be like a weird liberal agenda sort of thing. That should be a pretty down the line, everyone should agree. And all this stuff about like, oh no, I'm not going to do anything bad for gay people. No, you are appointing people who really are.
I'm not going to do anything bad for gay people. I just want to murder everybody.
Who is in the dark about this? Who are these people who are like, no, he's going to be fine on these issues. He doesn't really care. He's just saying what the Republicans.
This is the thing that bothers me the most.
Do you not?
When we talk about small government, so fine. If we want to talk about small government, let's do that, right? Like, I believe in welfare, and I believe in, like, if somebody's not making a lot of money, maybe they should get government. Fine. If you don't believe that, that's fine. How many glasses of wine have I had? Is it 17?
The box.
Mm-hmm. But.
Drink more.
First of all, how dare you? Second of all, yes, I will. But, so here's the thing that I really am fucking bothered by is if you're talking about small government, then why the fuck do you care who I marry?
Right.
It, like, to me, like, anti-abortion is the opposite of small government, right? Like,
yeah, don't tell me how to run my body.
Exactly.
Like that, right?
That's the thing that bothers me. If they were absolutely sincerely being like, small government is the most important and individual rights are the most, great, fine. So no issues with abortion and no issues with gay marriage. And if that's what they sincerely wanted to do, fine, great. I'm 100% on board for you.
I am just shocked by the people who seem to think that he's going to be fine on all these issues when everyone he appoints is exactly who the liberals' worst fears were.
But he's draining the swamp.
Right. He's draining the swamp and then pouring all those things into another swamp that he is now living in. Here's what bothers me.
I'm fucking glad that everybody's getting fucked over. I'm sorry. I'm so mad about this right now.
Maybe they'll figure it out.
I'm going to finish this one.
I think the thing that bothers me the most is I think you could easily make the argument that a lot of people who voted for Trump, and I know I'm not the first person to say this, the people who voted for Trump, they will tell you we're not racist, we're not sexist, whatever.
Tell them what I'm doing right now.
She is making a jerk-off symbol.
Yep.
And it is obscene. The point being, they will tell you we're not racist, we're not bigots, whatever. But
it's
apparently,
so easy to say.
But apparently, Donald Trump being a racist, sexist, whatever,
it's fine.
Did not bother them enough not to vote for him. And I think that's disturbing. That whatever it is, 60 million some Americans saw all these things that he did, and none of it bothered them enough to say, no, I'm not going to vote. Even if you're a Republican, to say, I'm not going to vote for him, but I'll vote for a third party or write-in. Or for people to say, well, Hillary sent an email once, so that matters worse.
Fuck, like, I can't. Okay, I'm so mad about 2016. It was the worst year of my life.
I'm gonna repeat this.
It's not. My husband.
I was a fan of Hillary Clinton. This is unpopular to say, apparently. I genuinely liked her. I wasn't voting for her as an anti-Trump. No. I genuinely liked her. And I told you, I said this before too. I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary because I wanted her to move left. And you know what? That worked. She did.
Listen.
But I liked her.
And
I'm genuinely mad that she didn't win.
This shit is in my face. If one more person tells me, okay, so
you gotta finish this podcast before you pass out.
No, I will never pass out. First of all, how dare you? Second of all, so we had our one of our very few podcasts about just you and me, of just like you and I talking, which we agree in like 98% of things.
Yeah.
Near a Bernie bro.
Yeah.
I saw you. I get it. I loved a lot of what Bernie was bringing to the table. I just didn't feel like he had the backup for it, right? Like I don't
think he knew anything about foreign affairs. I don't think he knew that much outside of a handful of domestic issues where he was really good on. Yeah, no, I think that's totally right. I don't know that he would have been a great president,
right?
But I liked him in the primary only because he's raising issues.
So my thing was, I loved what Bernie stood for, but I just thought that Hillary was a little more. This is what we can actually accomplish.
Obama wasn't just telling a line when he said she's the most prepared candidate like ever, more than me, more than Bill Clinton, etc. Like, no, she knew what she was doing, and if you didn't like her policies, so be it.
Which our listeners did not care for me after that particular episode. Bye, guys.
Yeah. I like that Joe Biden right now is like, yeah, I'm thinking about 2020. Don't care how old you are. I will vote for the Joe Biden corpse.
No, I love Joe Biden. He's kind of a creeper, but like, I fucking love him. But,
yeah. Are there any Democrats that you see that you're excited about for the future? Because there are a handful where I'm like, I hope they get their shit together because they would be really good. Whoever they are, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris.
Your Elizabeth Warrens, your Cory Bookers. Mm-hmm. Like, of course.
Like, I hope they get a higher profile.
But I want to say this. Yeah. I really, like, this is very important to me, is that, so I've been a Hillary Clinton supporter for years. Mm-hmm. Like, I think she absolutely sincerely wants the best for us. And I understand that people think she's power hungry, but I think that's a bullshit claim because tell me a single person who's ever run
who's
for
in
president
politics who isn't. Yeah.
I think she would have been an excellent president. And when I watched her when she won the New York primary, I was with my girlfriend and we cried.
Yeah.
Because Hillary isn't, she's not super charismatic and she's not gorgeous. And she's a wonderful politician. She has spent her entire career working for women and children. Her losing was really hard on me.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because you know why people don't like her? Because she's fucking loud and smarter than a lot of people. And annoying and not subversive. And guess who else is like that? It felt personal. When people would say Hillary she's too loud. I've been too loud since I was 14 fucking years old. And it's kind of a goof, but it's also, I think a lot of myself. I think I'm really smart and capable. And when people don't like Hillary, literally only because she's a loud woman.
Yeah, the attacks that they had against her, not just the stupid email stuff, but like some of the other ones, what do you want from her?
It felt personal.
There's nothing she can do that will make you like her, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not going to win.
What, is she not... She's not pretty enough. She doesn't have a nice voice. She doesn't, whatever.
There was a joke, but like, there was a joke that she made and other people made about her, but it was kind of true, which is like, no, vote for her. She's just going to hide in the Oval Office and do work. You won't ever see her if you vote for her.
Yes.
Like, that's the 100%. Upside to voting for her.
But
she's not going on victory tours.
By the end of, with absolute honesty, by the end of Hillary's campaign, it felt personal.
Yeah.
It was very much like the things that people said they didn't like about Hillary were like, oh, she just wants to be in power, or she thinks she's so... Yeah, I want to be in power. I think I'm really smart. It felt very personal. And that sucks. That fucking sucks. And that's, if we want to talk about it, like, I've sort of gotten let go of my own job because all I wanted to do was make things better and try to do shit. And they're like, no, bye, girl. You know,
Yeah. But with her, too, it's, yeah, as much as this sucks, look forward to how awesome it's going to be when someone does whatever all the stuff she wanted to do. Because hopefully that will happen.
I want Hillary to be my president.
At some point there will be a documentary, I'm sure. I'm sure there were tons of filmmakers following her on election night, too.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see what that documentary footage would look like inside of her room or wherever she was. Or in
I almost don't want to see it because I'm sure she had her moment in her where she just sobbed, which is like 80% of my life. But I feel like that's not going to help her at all.
It'll be an honest moment for a woman who's been caricatured as like just being political and doing whatever everyone wants to see.
I hate all of those people.
Yes. Let's move on to December. You just have swears listed up and down the list at this point.
First of all, how dare you? Florence Henderson died. That sucked.
This is still November.
This is November. Yeah. I have to close one eye because I'm a little drunk. Bus crashing in the sea. That was awful. Oh, God. The Brazilian soccer team died.
Something about
Just gets laid off. Oh, that's me. I literally couldn't. I'm getting laid off. Hey, if anybody wants to give me a job. Kanye lost his goddamn mind.
Yeah, but you could do that every month.
Well.
War on Christmas.
War on Christmas.
It's the same as every year.
I mean, it's always about being Santa, right? It's always sit.
No, it's the only time I ever see anyone invoke that is when atheists are like, oh, you have a nativity scene on government property? We want to join in the fun with our own display. No, why do you hate Christmas? It's like, we just wanted to have the same thing you did. No.
We would love that.
Yeah, but it is kind of entertaining that not just atheists are getting involved. You have Satanists saying, we want to put our display up. You have random
really?
other... Yeah. That's kind of what's amusing. They have a snaketivity going up in Michigan soon.
I'm sorry, did you say snaketivity?
I said snaketivity going up in Michigan outside the state capitol building. They have a couple displays in Florida that celebrate Christmas. The American Atheists put up their billboards saying, "Make Christmas great again, skip church." But those things are like, we're just talking to our crowd. Like, we're not stopping you from celebrating. So there's no war here. You can have Christmas. No one's stopping you.
That's the thing. Is like, when we talk about the war, what does that mean to people?
It just means atheists are asking for the same thing Christians do.
First of all, how dare you?
Yeah, that's all that it is. And that's all this stuff, all these debates, lawsuit stuff we've been mentioning this entire time. It's never, we want something more than anyone else does. It's, we just want to be treated the same as everybody else. And somehow that riles up Christians who don't want to share their.
Well, what do they say that when you have the majority? Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't remember the rest of it. But something about like having less. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to try to do it.
That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's all.
Okay, let's do our best and worst of 2016.
Best and worst of 2016.
Yeah.
I will say probably the best thing is because of all this shit going on. There's a reason this shit list is so long on the bad stuff. During this whole time, this is cheesy as hell. But, like, I had a baby who was, like, what, 2 months old to, like, a year and 2 months old.
She seemed pretty chill.
Yeah, that was, like, their baby stuff, it's stressful, you don't get sleep. But, like, other than that, it was kind of awesome.
You like having a baby?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah?
She's good. She's not crazy yet.
I've been thinking about having a baby, but, like, it seems pretty hard.
It is hard. No doubt about that. I mean, and here's the thing. I don't know if I've said this before, but, like, I have every advantage in the world with this baby in the sense that, like, me and my wife, we do okay. We have jobs. We have parents who live in the area. Like, they're all really, really helpful. And it's really, really hard to raise a kid. It's like, oh my, I have this newfound...
But you like her, right?
Oh, yeah, I do.
She seems chill?
I have this newfound huge respect that I never... it's not like I didn't think this before, but I never understood it before. For, like, single mothers, parents with twins or whatever.
Sure.
It's like, oh my God, this is so hard.
With
children. Every advantage I have, it's hard. And, man, my huge props to all these people who do it with so much less than that. But that was the highlight, because that was the one thing where it's like, I can avoid all the Trump craziness because I can just...
Well, it's easier for you not to go in public.
My wife would come home from work. We have the baby at home or something, and it's like, we're just upstairs with the baby, and like, I don't have to watch TV.
We're not avoiding people. We're just spending time with our human children.
Yes, the human child was very nice. So, I mean, that was the upside. So I could ignore going crazy with watching TV all the time or blogging all the time because there was that. So that was awesome. That was a nice, pleasant distraction. And you know what? She's not old enough to be like horrible yet.
To talk to you?
To talk back to me. She can talk, that's fine, but she's not old enough to talk back. So it's like, this will be okay for a little while longer. Like, we're not fighting yet, you know?
Sure. It'll come soon.
Yeah. You should have a kid. It'll be fun.
I mean, we're thinking about it soon. It sounds really physically unpleasant. So
I can't speak to your end of it, but
it
was fine in the labor room for me. I was all
but
good.
Honestly, you know what fucking sucks is that my entire life, my dad, my grandfather lived his entire life without seeing a Cubs victory. And
in the World Series.
In the World Series. And it kind of sucks that this is the moment that I was like, this is me and my brother and my dad and my grandfather and my great-grandfather. That's what we all wanted to see.
Yeah.
And it sucks because you know why? Because I'm a little bit drunk. Okay.
Don't worry, we'll just cut all this.
No, it doesn't matter. Hemant, let's talk about our 2017 goals.
Yes. What do we have goals?
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't prepare anything.
I had to hiccup.
That's all right.
Let's do like a tiniest tour.
Where are we gonna go?
I don't know, like Indianapolis. Does anybody listen to this podcast?
All right, tell you what. If you would actually come and watch if we went somewhere, go to the podcast website, send us something on the contact form saying, hey, if you went somewhere like in my area, we might come to that thing because that would be fun.
Yeah, we're more fun than you'd think.
Sure we are.
And we can interview people who are locals.
We could.
All right. And with absolute honesty,
if you made it this far into this podcast, then the odds are you would do it.
It's been 5. I have the hiccups. It's fine. When did we start this podcast? Like a year and a half ago? 2 years ago?
I don't know, but I think this is like episode 140-ish. And like, I will tell you, the one thing I'm super proud of this podcast is
every
week for whatever, 2 years plus?
2.5 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I will say this.
If only we had more than 3 listeners. But it's been going.
Spit into you. I will say this. It is a thing that I'm super fucking proud of.
Yeah.
People, even if it's only X amount of, what do we have, like 7K people who like listen?
I don't know.
Which is, but you know,
I wish there was a better way to know how many people actually listen. It's
more people than I've ever even met in my entire fucking life. We're lucky as fuck.
Thank you for listening, everybody.
I'm glad I yelled at Hemant at a Chili's one time so we could do this.
I'm glad you did.
This is a thing that it makes me really happy, and I hope it makes other people happy.
Mm-hmm. And we will do our best to get more fun guests. The nice thing about having done this...
No, we're just going to yell at each other forever.
We can do more of these if you actually want to listen to it.
With absolute sincerity, it's so much easier for Hemant and me to just yell at each other.
It really is. The cool thing about having done this for a little while is that it becomes easier to get guests that we find really interesting.
They actually want to hear us.
Yes. They're willing to talk to us. They're like, oh, yes, this podcast. All right, I'll talk to you.
Apparently,
so cool.
12 people listen to you.
Every now and then.
But no, with absolute sincerity, nothing would mean more to me than if we could tour.
We will work on it.
If you want to see us,
I'm not joking. If we can make that work.
If we could go in like a tiny bar with 12 people, I'd be like, yeah, I'm there.
Set up microphones in the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Done.
Hey, listen, we have this. We're recording in your kitchen. Who fucking cares? All right.
As you could tell with the echoey sounds. This is a professional. We're not editing that out.
I hiccuped. Okay, listen, Hemant, I'm so glad we did this because I texted you like last week and was like, hey, let's talk about how
terrible 2016 was. And then you send me, here's my draft of the shit list, and it's the longest damn spreadsheet.
Thanks, Kate. You're the best.
Thank you, Kate. But I'm glad. It was nice to vent. It was nice to drink.
Did we figure out the end of the year?
We are pretty much, yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
Did we talk about how I got laid off? Anyway,
for the sake of you getting a job, we won't talk about you getting laid off.
If anyone wants to hire me, bye.
Hire Jess.
Anyway, this was a delight. Hemant.
Cheers. Yeah.
Hemant, our podcast
first time since my wedding I've used these wine glasses.
Yeah, is this the first time this is the first time Hemant and I have drank literally ever.
It is.
It's weird. Anyway, Hemant, this is always a fucking delight recording with you.
Likewise.
I'm glad this is our jam together.
Damn right. Thank you all for listening. I think this is like a 2-hour podcast compared to our normal 20-minute one. So if they stuck with us this long, great. All right.
Stay sexy, don't get murdered.
Damn right. All right, I'm ending this thing.